Hi, everyone. Welcome to Public Live. You guys know it's been happening all month. It's Financial Literacy Month. And here on Public Live, we have a financial literacy series. We're going to be covering topics all across finance that are going to help you all level up as an investor. My name is Corey Hale, and I'm here today with Bryce Johnson, NFT gaming creator, Web3 contributor, and he's the co-founder and CEO of Loot Squad, which is a Web3 gaming guild. Bryce is going to be guiding us through some fundamental concepts you should know as a crypto investor, whether you're a beginner, a lot like myself, or a bit more experienced here in our community. Bryce, welcome to Public Live.
Thank you, Corey, for having me. It's a pleasure being back. I got to speak a while ago, and we touched on topics regarding the Ape coin and what the future of that hold. But it's exciting to be able to come back and chat about education in the financial space, especially when it relates to crypto and bringing more people from culturally endemic audiences into the space. So much love, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you, and I'm got my computer open because I need to take notes throughout this entire conversation. So we got to start at the beginning, with some basic fundamentals here. Bryce, what exactly is a cryptocurrency?
Yeah, so at the very root, cryptocurrency, it's a digital currency, very similar to the dollar, but not owned by one entity or resource. And basically, the idea is to make it a cryptocurrency, it needs to be in a space where those transactions are verified and maintained based on a decentralized system. So guys, if you think about it in perspective of your own bank account currently, when you go and you send money from one place to another, or let's say I would send money to Corey via a Bank of America account, Bank of America would actually have to verify that I sent Corey that money. Well, for cryptocurrency and how it works in a decentralized system on the blockchain, I could send money to Corey, and other peer members who own those wallets would also be those who are verifying. So it shapes and changes the way that banking happens, because for it to be a cryptocurrency, it's actually being verified by peers or, other individuals who have cryptocurrency wallets. Whereas in more centralized systems like banking, the banks are the ones verifying transactions and what happens throughout a daily basis.
So is it possible, though, if we are exchanging cryptocurrencies in a, let's just say, Zelle/Venmo/PayPal type of way, is it possible, though, like if you send a payment that it could get lost somehow, or is the blockchain kind of protect you from that?
So it's interesting. Like, for example, if you were to go buy cryptocurrency on, Robinhood or PayPal or some other application.
Even here on Public now,
and
in certain places.
And even on Public, if you were to buy crypto directly on Public, Public is handling a lot of the back-end heavy blockchain related work to ensure that you're safe, to ensure that transactions are verified, and lower the risk for the individual. So, you're in a space where you do have a little bit of protective comfort. But for example, Corey, if you were to go and buy crypto in a more decentralized way and send it directly to me, however, if you put in the wrong crypto address, then yes, it would send to someone else, and pretty much there'd be no way to get that back unless that user that you sent it to actually went out of their way to say, hey, I'm going to send you this back. So yeah, there is a bit of a risk if you take on more of the load of managing your own wallet. But luckily, doing it at Public and buying directly on the website, you don't have to run into it as much because Public makes sure that those transactions are verified. So even though I'm sending it to you, Public is actually handling the back end work of blockchain related transactions.
Okay, see, I needed that for my own edification there, Bryce. All right, as we continue to unpack exactly what's going on in this world of crypto, what are some frameworks that you personally use when deciding on a cryptocurrency to invest in? I only know about the big names.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there are a couple of different frameworks. The first one that people like to touch on is the real world utility. And I'm really big on utility. For example, I just downloaded this crypto-based running app called StepN. And you buy one of their crypto NFTs and you actually can, go on your daily run, jog, et cetera, and they actually pay you in their cryptocurrency for doing a little bit of exercise each day. Like, for example, I went on a run earlier and made like $40 for a mile long run, which was really cool. So I think real world utility is the way to onboard people who aren't familiar with cryptocurrency. But there's also other things, like, for example, people who really appreciate art or appreciate the decentralized nature of blockchain. Like, there are different file systems that you can invest in and different types of cryptos. So the world is kind of the wild, wild west when it comes to cryptocurrency. But I think real world application is the most important, because when you think of how users who aren't in crypto will find the space, it won't be because of the technology behind it or, hey, this is ultra decentralized. It'll be because a member of, a traditional financial world is using crypto to solve a real world problem that they have every day in a very easy and seamless way. And in some instances we see it, and in others we're in a space where we'll have to wait to see as more is created. But I think real world utility is probably going to be the basis for onboarding new members into crypto.
I love that you made $40 for going on a run. I'm trying to think, how do I get Peloton to start paying me for getting on the bike? That's a topic for another date in time there, Bryce. As we keep it moving, what concepts or crypto vocab, because there's a lot, especially when you start getting into those acronyms here, does an investor need to know to apply those frameworks themselves?
Yeah, totally. So we can go through some. So to start, probably the biggest one is blockchain. And anytime you hear about crypto and blockchain, a lot of people who aren't in crypto are like, oh, I'm doing something on the blockchain, or what's the blockchain? Well, the blockchain is basically just the transaction system. And we talked about it earlier. Whereas if we're spending money, and sending money back and forth via Bank of America, Bank of America is verifying it. They have their own system to ensure that these transactions and payments actually happen. Well, the blockchain is basically just a decentralized banking system. Like, for example, if I were to send money from one person to another on Ethereum's blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain would verify it, and all of the peer members would verify that the money did get, or the crypto did get, sent from one place to another. And, there are multiple blockchains. Bitcoin has its own blockchain. Ethereum has a blockchain. And then you can kind of go down the list of other chains that have blockchains, but Bitcoin and Ethereum are the main two. So blockchain is a very big concept. And the key portion to understand is that there are just multiple blockchains in an ecosystem, and different cryptocurrencies have their own blockchains. Additionally, there are also other ideas like protocol. Protocol is just another example of basically like a project or financialized project that works on top of crypto. Like, for example, we've seen in the space where you have protocols that focus on being the buying and selling platform for NFTs. So, for example, think of eBay in the metaverse, or eBay in the decentralized world. It would be considered a protocol for buying and selling assets. But, that is kind of how that works. Another really cool one that I would say focusing on is a smart contract. So when you hear the term smart contract, just think of it as a paper contract, but on the blockchain. Like, for example, Kiori, if me and you decided to take a pact in a sense and say, hey, I want you to host a public live show for me for the next 2 weeks, we could actually create a smart contract that has and stores a certain amount of money, and it pays out a certain amount based on the 2-week time frame of you hosting the public live show. So those are just a couple of concepts, Corey, that are really cool to understand when chatting at the very baseline level about crypto. And we could go deeper, but I don't want to burn too much time digging into each and every one of them unless you want me to.
Well, just because we have a lot more to get through, but I'm thinking the same thing. There's a lot more follow-up question. I even have the first one that came to mind about the smart contract. Well, how do you even actually set that up? Do you do that on an exchange? See, I have lots of questions. So I feel like if this is the crypto 101 discussion that we're having right now, there has got to be a crypto 102, because I've got more questions, but we're trying to keep it as basic and as introductory as possible today. So we're going to keep it moving. And I'd love to know, what are crypto white papers? Where do I find them at exactly? And what are the main components of these crypto white papers?
Yeah, white papers are interesting because, there are various different companies that have them across the space that are doing things. And in the traditional financial world relating to technology, when you think of a white paper, you're thinking of a document that's kind of giving you a deeper sense of where a company is going from their product standpoint, what their technical model is going to look like, and kind of what their roadmap is going to consist of. Now, the same kind of ruling applies in crypto. Like, for example, with Ethereum's white paper, at the very baseline, you get a very good sense of what the company or the protocol was looking to create. So, like, for example, Ethereum, they pretty much wanted to create a world on blockchain where you had a decentralized payment store, but also a place for decentralized applications to live. So when you think about Ethereum's white paper, a lot of it is very similar to Amazon or AWS, where they're basically creating this tech layer protocol for people to be able to transact and do things from a technical standpoint, but on the blockchain, whereas Amazon kind of houses it all, within the confines of their own standards and builds. So when you're thinking about white papers, the place that you want to go to find them, it's all very dependent on the project. The Ethereum network has their own ethereum.org where you can find information there. Bitcoin has its own white paper that Satoshi, the unknown founder, wrote a very long time ago. Now, if you're thinking today, modern new projects that are coming out, a lot of the times I get most of my information via Twitter. So you find projects on Twitter. Another great place is actually here at Public. So, a lot of the tokens that you see that are crypto based on Public, you can actually put that token in the ticker on different websites like CoinGecko, and it will pull up actual information on the white paper, and it will take you directly to where you can find more info. And if you want to dig deeper, I think Discord communities and Telegram is a great place to go. But understand that there are also a lot of scams in the space of crypto. So you got to be careful with white papers and making sure that you're dealing with projects that are 100% verified.
Bryce, I feel like you're dropping a lot of gems right now, and it's almost so much information. I'm not sure I'm able to fully take all of it in.
I'm
But like I
sorry.
said, there's got to be a follow. At some point, there's got to be a follow-up session because I'm still like, all right, I'm following. Wait, you lost me, and I'm trying to jump back in the game here. But we're still going to keep going. We're trying to still keep it as basic as possible. So looking at, the bigger cryptos out there like Bitcoin and Ethereum, their white papers, there's a lot of technical jargon. Like once you get to the white papers and you're reading through it, there's a lot of info in there. What should we do if we're not really able to understand some of this technical jargon?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing to unpack with white papers is you don't really need to read through the entire white paper. And the reason why I say this, and maybe it's contrary to popular belief, but most everyday people aren't going to go deep to understand how you verify transactions on a blockchain or what the inner workings of the technology are to ensure that it's 100% secure. And even if you read through the documentation, most everyday people wouldn't understand it. So for example, if we were looking at Bitcoin, the one thing that I would want most people to understand is that Bitcoin creates a world for you to manage your money in a decentralized fashion without having to deal with banking in a traditional fashion. Like, for example, if you think about it, if a regular person goes to their ATM or they try to make a transaction that's over a certain amount of money, a lot of times the bank will just say, hey, you have a transaction limit. So when it comes to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which is the biggest in the space, the original idea for the intended currency was to create a world where people were their own banks. You managed your own cryptocurrency, your own money at your own pace and at the direct amount that you would like. So, some of the big key factors you want to look at are, okay, how does the wallet system work? Do I have ownership over my wallet? Do I handle my own security? Am I able to send money from one place to another in a way that is quick and seamless and successful? If you think about, something like a Western Union, you sending money to a family member across the world might be a hassle, but me sending you money, Corey, in Ethereum would take actually seconds, So there are some real world use cases that cryptocurrencies are solving, but understanding white papers is less important as it is understanding the use cases that apply to your daily life. Like, for example, it doesn't doesn't matter how great cryptocurrency is. If you use it to do a transaction and it takes longer than it would your credit card, it likely isn't something that a regular person is going to pick up and see a value. But let's say you're able to send money from one place to another in a very quick and seamless way without having to go through your bank all the time or dealing with your transactions being blocked. It really changes the scope of the financial utility of the cryptocurrency. So I try to keep it very baseline and understanding this use case for this currency solves this problem so people understand how it could truly impact their daily life.
When I think about crypto impacting people's daily lives, it makes me think about El Salvador, because I know that they were the first country to really make or start accepting Bitcoin as a legal tender. So that is infused now into everyday life and figuring out the best ways and how to make these transactions work for simple things of going to get coffee or going grocery shopping. So there's a lot out there already in this space, especially when it's being a part of your everyday life. So there are some people, right, Bryce, who are a part of our community and out here in the world that are super crypto savvy already. What are some other more advanced concepts? Now, not too advanced, okay, but just like a couple levels up that you might suggest reading up on?
Yeah, totally. So I would say at the very root, stablecoins, they're going to be here. They're going to be around for a long time. And if you are more advanced, I'm sure you're probably familiar with them. But for example, if you look at traditional banking and what the interest rates look like, a lot of the times you're getting what, like 0.01% or something crazy. And then the bank takes the money that's in your savings account based on that interest rate and goes and get an 8 to 10+% return. Well, stablecoins in crypto are a safe one-to-one tether to the US dollar, and you're able to get large returns between 8 and 10% on staking or keeping them in some sort of savings yield account. Another one that I would take into account is just decentralized finance in general. So in the decentralized finance world, you're able to do things like, trading cryptocurrencies across decentralized exchanges, to swap for other currencies. Now, this is a more risky topic, but also more advanced. But there are decentralized finance protocols that are offering, 20, 30, 50% APR on, your token. So there are higher level savings concepts that are incredibly impactful. So I would say diving into the world of DeFi and understanding how decentralized finance will impact the future of the world. And then another concept that people are taking very hard looks at are, how loans work in crypto, whether it's, uncollateralized or collateralized. But it's a very early concept that has a lot of growing to do. But I think it is something that will sharpen anyone's crypto knowledge. And if you do want to even get a little bit further, you can dive into the space of NFTs and talk more about, like NFT lending and things of that sort, like staking and crypto yields. But that's really, really far in the weeds. And like you said before, another discussion would definitely be a bit better to go deeper on some of those concepts.
Well, Bryce, and people are loving what you're saying with all those fire emojis. I mean, you've given us an intro, at least a toe in the door of understanding, trying to wrap our mind around this crypto space, because there is a lot to learn, but there, as you pointed out, there's a lot of information out there for us to dive into. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, for sharing your insights about the crypto space. Hopefully there's going to be a follow-up conversation, because I think there's a lot more that we could have unpacked today. So thanks so much for joining us, Bryce. And with that in mind, everyone, I want to make sure that you guys know that we're going to be hosting more financial literacy shows right here on Public Live all throughout the month of April. So stay tuned in the apps. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks again.
Bye.
If you would like to see more content like this, subscribe to our channel and download the Public app where you can listen to these sessions in live time.